Welcome, lifers, to the Lianna Alvarez Show, Las Vegas Real Estate, The Insider's Edge, and I'm your host, Lianna Alvarez. The most important hour of radio, every Sunday on KLAV, 12:30 a.m., the talk of Las Vegas. Thank you for joining me. This show is dedicated to you and rebuilding Las Vegas's housing and credit markets. We always hear those talking heads discussing real estate, but do those reports really apply to you? Not really. You need local updates. Within every market, there are solutions, as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted advice, and I will be delivering it to you every Sunday at 2 p.m., right here on KLAV, 12:30 a.m., the talk of Las Vegas. And I want to remind you, knowledge is power, financial freedom the key, and the insider's edge, priceless. We have a great show for you today. Everybody that's listening out there, we've got a wonderful guest, Craig Stone of Stone Law Offices, who is an estate planning attorney here in Las Vegas. Welcome, Craig.
Thank you. Glad to be on the show.
Oh, thank you. We're really excited. I know this is some great information that, about estate planning that so many people tend to overlook, underthink, and probably underplan.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the biggest things that we try to educate clients on, that estate planning is an integral part of all of your planning, whether it's financial planning, retirement planning, but making sure that you have what you want to give things to the people you love when you pass away. Absolutely.
And it really, applies whether, you're still living. It's something that you have to implement in case something happens, you become incapacitated, or, make sure that you've got everything set up so things, get executed the way that you want them to be to your family, your loved ones, should something happen in you.
Yes, that's a common misunderstanding. An estate plan is actually made up of several different documents or several different areas. The first one is dealing with, as you said, issues of incapacity or disability, who's going to make healthcare decisions, who's going to make financial decisions. And then the second part is dealing with making sure that when you pass away, you don't pay any more in taxes or fees or costs than necessary, so you can maximize what you want to give to your loved ones. And the last part is exactly that, making sure that you give what you've got to who you want and how you want, because there may be different ways that you want your loved ones to receive your assets.
Right, and we don't want it all going to the state or the government.
Absolutely.
Okay, so just kind of, give me a little bit of your personal background. How did you get into this? Are you from Vegas?
Absolutely. I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee, so I'm a Southern boy, and went to law school at Washington University in St. Louis. I lived there for about 3 years. But I lived out here in Las Vegas for 21 years and been practicing law that entire time. I've been running my own firm for a little over 10 years now.
Wonderful.
And I started out with a background in accounting. I was a CPA before I moved into law. And I saw that that the law was an area where I could help clients in a much more hands-on basis.
Right. Well, and the nice thing, I think, too, is with the accounting background, it gives you a better understanding of the taxes and really the financial aspect for the estate planning.
Yes, that is critical. I do tell clients that we don't want to let the tax tail wag the dog, but taxes are an important part of the overall planning because that is a form of a creditor taking the money unnecessarily. So tax planning is a big part of it, and I do have that skill set, but it's also about making sure that the person's intangible wealth is taken care of as well.
Okay, and I know, a lot of your background and your focus for your clients and for those of you that are out there listening, it's a very personalized service. You don't make a generalization for everybody. So kind of give me a little bit about, that personalized service, where it came from, and kind of just your business practice.
Absolutely. We always take a holistic approach to clients. We don't just assume that they're going to come in and we're going to make them fit in a scenario or, make that square peg fit in the round hole. we always start with asking clients about their family. What are their family dynamics? What are their relationships, their dreams, and their passions? And then we will customize the plan around their particular circumstance. That's something that I saw in the industry where some of my colleagues, with all due respect, were just making you sign a document, say, here, trust me, it works,
right.
and that was it. I like to have an estate plan reflect what my clients' purposes and dreams and goals and objectives are, because that makes it their estate plan, not my documents fitting their circumstances.
Right, and I think that really sets you apart from other people within the industry. Even in my industry, having something that's very specialized and individualized for the people that come into your office really does make a difference, because it just makes it that much more personal, and they don't feel like, I think sometimes there's a stigma with attorneys that they feel, you're just going to go in, they're going to, kind of boss you around, tell you do this, 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 and then, kick you out the door.
Yeah, I do get that. Everybody sometimes has that reluctance or hesitancy to say, oh, I don't want to talk to an attorney.
Right.
I try to alleviate that. In fact, I had an opportunity a couple weeks ago to go teach estate planning to a classroom of fifth graders.
Oh my
Imagine
gosh.
that.
That's great. I wish my fifth grade class taught us that.
And the interesting thing was, I probably got more intuitive questions out of the fifth graders than some of my adult clients. But it was an experience of saying, okay, how do we take a complex topic, and how do we break it down into something that even a fifth grader can understand and appreciate? And so that's one of those hallmarks of my practices. I never ask clients to sign something that they don't understand,
right.
and that it's not a reflection of who they are.
Right. So I wonder how many of those fifth graders went home and said, "Mom, I need a living will."
Well, that was probably one of the little tags there. Is I was wondering how many of them would go talk to their parents, and the parents go, my fifth grader has a will, but I don't.
Right? Yeah, exactly. I'm sure. If you're just tuning in, you are listening to the Lianna Alvarez Show, Las Vegas Real Estate, The Insider's Edge. We're here on KLAV 1230 AM radio, the talk of Las Vegas. I'm Lianna Alvarez, your host, and we have Craig Stone, who is an estate planning attorney, discussing, kind of your business practice and, your professional background and, what goes on with estate planning. Let me ask you this. I know you said you had a background in tax. What kind of, was it really wanting to help people that made you decide to do the career shift, or?
Yes, it was a couple of things. One, I saw that when I was in the accounting field, that a lot of my interaction with clients was on a purely numbers-driven basis. Mm-hmm. They would come to me with a tax problem. I would solve the problem, and then they'd shake hands, and I may not ever see them again.
Right.
And I wanted an ongoing relationship with them, because I saw that the numbers weren't the entire story. And one of the areas to work in that on that personal side and to look at their lives in a greater spectrum was through the law. And so I decided that I would go to law school, and when I came out, I specifically knew that I was going to be working with estate planning and business planning areas.
See, and for those of you out there listening, I'm sure you probably hear some consistency. We're talking about those wonderful lifers, those clients that are there for life, that it's a long-term relationship. It's not, one deal done, you never hear from them again. And Craig's got that same philosophy that I constantly speak of with my clients and all my lifers. So this is just, another stepping stone to provide, those kinds of services, and really to help all of you out there, get one step closer to financial freedom and, have that peace of mind.
It's giving the client control over their lives and helping them see and learn things that they didn't even know were concerns or issues under the circumstance. I love to not advise clients. I love to educate them.
Absolutely.
And as part of that, that draws out those areas that they didn't even think about before and go, maybe I need to address those questions that just came up from a conversation.
Right. Knowledge is power. So
Absolutely.
being able to educate and have somebody inform you so you can make that decision for your own family is always going to be the best road to take. Any specific specialties, or, I know we talked about those initial documents that you talked about, the living will, trust, stuff like that. Are there, specific items?
Yes. Every estate plan should have at least the following documents. You should have a healthcare power of attorney and living will, which is addressing what's your healthcare decisions and who's going to make those if you become disabled. You should have a durable power of attorney, which is addressing who's going to make financial decisions. You should have what's called a HIPAA law or HIPAA authorization, which is a federal law that said your family members can't even access your medical records without your consent.
Oh.
And then you either need to have a last will and testament, or you need a revocable living trust, which addresses how things are going to be distributed afterwards. There's a preference here in Nevada to do a trust because trusts are exempt from the probate process.
Right.
Probate is very expensive. It's very time-consuming, and it involves loss of your privacy because the court's looking over your shoulders during the administration of the will.
Right. Well, perfect. And those are some things that we're definitely going to get a little bit more in depth on in each of the following segments. One thing you kind of briefly touched base on were death taxes. So for those of you listening, you want to stay tuned. We're going to be discussing and explaining what are those death taxes. It's something you definitely want to know about. So make sure you stay tuned. We're going to take a quick break. You're listening to the Lianna Alvarez Show, Las Vegas Real Estate, The Insider's Edge, here on KLAV, 1230 AM, radio, the talk of Las Vegas.